elaborating the digital innovation hub concept in its context. I hope you are all fine in this quite troubling time, I would say. To be honest, we are a bit overwhelmed by the number of participants during this webinar, and we hope it will add some insights to you to what the digital innovation hub, how it can be made operational. This webinar is not only about us showing you from an ivory tower what a digital innovation hub can be, but it is also about you giving us your feedback on what a digital innovation hub might be and how it can be changed and how it can be made operational. So I will talk for hopefully about 30 minutes, and then I'll give you the floor, and I will ask some questions, and we hope to have a lively discussion on the digital innovation hub concept and its context, because that's what is important to us. It is about putting the digital innovation hub concept in its European digital innovation hub landscape. So, a short overview of the webinar. Introduction done. We'll be introducing the digital and then putting it in the to elaborate and contextualize the digital innovation hub concept. It is not about the European digital innovation hubs. They will be addressed a little bit, but we are thinking about planning an additional webinar on that to further understand the European digital innovation hubs. But those are, of course, the entities that are now being built up within under the umbrella of the Digital Europe program, and it's not yet mean, and if everyone knows what everyone means, that you can better work together. And it's also to get a better understanding how it fits in the European digital innovation hub landscape, and there's quite some other initiatives there and how they're related to that. And to as I said, it's also to get feedback on the concept, improve that common understanding with how so it will be successful for you. So let me start with the European Commission definition. Well, one slide about that, because I think you all seen the documentation which describes in a little bit more detail what the European Commission states as a digital innovation hub. It has 4 elements that it addresses: the test before invest, support to find investments, innovation ecosystem and networking and skills. By the way, before I go further, this will be recorded, this webinar, so please be aware of it. And well, to take those 4 elements, we would like to build on that a little bit further. What we see is 4 possible building blocks in the digital innovation hub networks: the competence centers, the digital innovation hubs, the regional networks that are connecting the different innovation hubs, and the European networks. Those are the ones that typically can be seen in the European digital innovation hub landscape, although a 5th one coming, of course, and that's the European digital innovation hubs. I just made up this icon because it's not operational, of course, and there's no real logo for that, but well, this is to make clear to you that there's a fifth building block there. There are, of course, all kinds of other building blocks, but to discuss that would take a little bit more than 1 hour, so we would like to focus on those 5 elements. And here you can see how the 5 elements are, the 5 building blocks or the 4 building blocks are connected to each other. So there's the competence centers and the regional digital innovation hub and the European digital innovation hub networks, where the digital innovation hubs are connecting different centers to have a regional collaboration on a specific technology market. For example, the Basque Digital Innovation Hub network. In Trieste, there's the collaboration with Udinese, which is there, and also in the Netherlands, there's the that connect to different underlying digital innovation. Just to give you an example, the Smidse, I'm particularly that, so I'll mention that. The Smidse is an that coordinates 9 field labs, and those field labs are considered digital innovation hubs and focused on specific technologies, where the regional digital innovation hub network tries to coordinate the business within the region, the business within those 9 different entities, and connected, of course, to the competence center, which allows a little bit more technical infrastructures and expertise. Area. On top of that, are the European networks. So those are connected not only regional, sometimes the regional networks, but very much the that's very important element there. That it's that specific technology. And if you look at the different those entities, you can get a kind of a layered overview, a layered structure there. So that possible configuration of digital innovation of networks and all the different the other entities, it is of course all about addressing the digitization needs, the digitalization needs of the industry. On top of that, there's a regional layer where there's competence centers that are active and the digital innovation hubs that are active. Those are providing the services to the industry. And the regional digital innovation hub networks, those are entities that are active in that region to allow a coordinated mechanism towards their regional industrial ecosystem. On top of that, there are some member state on member state level. There are some other entities that are there. That can be platforms, that cluster, all EEM partners are there. They all operate at that state level and connecting the different entities that are providing services. That the different entities on the regional level to provide the services, the CEAs that are connecting different innovation actions, and then there's of course the DIHNET who connects to the CEAs. What you can see here is a possible way you put the different layers. They all got a little bit different funding mechanisms. The full digitization service, because that's the overall objective. Let's give some estimation on this. There are by regional members level, the partners are here and the European and they have different missions. So the local level is focused very much on the digitization. The region next to then no are provided by the RTOs and universities, and the national ecosystem coordination, it's done by these KPM partners, etc., etc. And on top of that, there's the innovation actions that are a bit more industry area focused, and the more technology agnostic European community coordinated coordinating entities, like for example the EEN network and the DIHNET. And these are some figures, just some estimations about how much of those entities are there. We expect over 1.5 million SMEs that are very interested and very susceptible for the digitization. To service that, you can see that the Digital Innovation Hub Catalog already some 500 entities included as digital innovation hubs. We expect even more to be present that are not yet included in the catalog. Then the regional networks, that's not yet fully exploited, or that's not exploited because some regions have only a single digital innovation hub. Other ones are connecting that those present digital innovation hubs to be connected through that regional entity and to have a more coordinated offering of services to the region. And then there's over 300 universities, RTOs, national platforms, and nodes, EM partners. The innovations, we think there's over 100 innovation actions there, and CSAs and pan-European networks. So here you can see that there's quite a bit of entities that are active in that European landscape. Now back to the digital innovation hubs. How can they be characterized? And we see 4 different elements in that characterization. First, the activities and services that are deployed by those customers. Then the customers themselves, how do they look like? Some boundary conditions and some organizational structure characterizations. Those are the 4 elements. I would like to go into that a little bit deeper in the next slides. Then activities and services, as you've seen in the slide of the European Commission, it's ecosystem network, test before invest, finding investment and skills. Well, what you can see there is that that those can be fallen down into a little bit more concrete services like ecosystem on the community building, strategy development, ecosystem learning, etc., etc. And if you take a little bit closer look to those activities, here are a set of activities that you could distinguish between. So there are quite some activities that you can distinguish between to get a little bit more flesh on the bone of what a digital innovation hub is. And last but not least, I would say also the skills and training is a very important element. Then the customers of the digital innovation. We see some primary customers. Those are, of course, the SMEs and mid-caps. They include startups and established SMEs, are innovators, the early adopters, the late adopters. These are the SMEs that are interested in digitalization, and in the different those different categories like innovators and early adopters, you have some different services that you need to offer to them, like awareness on the one side. Those are more the early adopters for the late adopters, whereas incubator accelerator kind of business to startups. So those are different services connected to those different customers. The large enterprises are usually the primary customers. They are an important customer to have on board. Why? Because it establishes a critical mass of activities, and that's very important. You need to have a kind of an income turnover that is there that you can exploit to further support those SMEs and mid-caps, and the large enterprises can establish that. We see that a lot. The Catapult Center, for example, in the NTC Catapult Center in the UK, that has a large number of members, where there's some core members, which are the large enterprises, but they use that critical mass as mechanism to allow further work with the SMEs, because it's a little bit hard to service those SMEs. Indirect, there are governments. Governments, because digital innovation hubs, as I will show you later, is very much about addressing a societal problem. Governments use it as a mechanism to support SMEs to digitize, for example. They need that shared facility, that more public mission to support the economy and especially the SMEs camps. And then there's also industry service providers that use the digital innovation hub as platform. For example, the suppliers has testing kind of mechanisms, so they get some interesting technologies, better infrastructures they can test together with their customers. Demonstrate what they can do. So some boundary conditions. We think that open innovation is how customers and partners can come and go. That it's not a project and it's not a closed shop. It's a community. And during the lifetime of a digital innovation hub, some flexibility in the partnerships, because there can be new ideas and new services to offer during the lifetime. And it's important as criteria for that. Of course, it's not a project where there's a partnership of, let's say, 10 or 20 customers that work together with the service providers. No, it's open, and you can allow new customers to engage. Then it is about the regional industry. It's supporting the regional industry innovation ecosystem. It increases the strength of the region. It's about connecting research with business. So translating technologies into actual business applications. Industry driven, not industry owned. If it's owned by industry, then it will be very much going to the interest of the specific industry. And you want to have the society element there, because its mission is to help society, of course. And usually it's public-private partnerships, and that ensures that the balance between society and industry is there, and it's a one-shot, especially for the region, making the use of the regional capacity and the strengths there. And I think a lot of you have seen this picture. This shows you what kind of organizations can be included. So there's incubator, accelerators, real educational institutes, agencies where orchestrator that will orchestrate their entity, a competence center, You need to ensure that the strength of the regions will come together to make available and make accessible all those services that are mostly already available in that region. And what you can see here is that it is about an innovation relay game. Someone does in the innovation chain a specific activity, but if you're connected to another organization that has another activity, then you can connect the research, for example, to have that together with an accelerator incubator, have that developed into something that can be picked up by a startup. Otherwise, the innovative technology business is very hard. So RTOs need to work together with accelerator incubators. But I would like to stress this, it's not all black and white. So what you seen before is that it looks like a little bit prescriptive, and that's not the case. All what we say is just to give you a kind of a glimpse on what it can be and what kind of orientation you would have. But it's all about fine-tuning to your own specific situation, and that's a very important element. So again, I would like to stress it's not all black and white. So what are the differences? Now the more contextual part. What are the differences between competence centers, digital innovation hubs, regional networks, and pan-European networks, and a little bit about the European digital innovation hubs? So a competence center is very much focused on the technology. It's focused on the about creating new technologies, do strategic RDI together with all kinds of more industrial partners to develop the innovations. It's about contract research for specific customers, supporting scale-up, technology scale-up, tech infrastructure, and testing and validation. Sure, those competence centers also have some elements of community there, but they usually are very much focused on this. Lucy, can everyone see my screen? Because I got the signal that people can only see my Paul's screen.
Yeah, I can see your screen.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I hope that the slides are so this is the regional digital innovation hub networks. Those are there. Those are sometimes there when, as I said before, there are quite some digital innovation hubs in a region active, and also competence centers. And what you would like to do is you would like to coordinate that a little bit. So, as I said, Smith, the province of Southern Holland, 9 field labs, and an overarching coordinating entity that can be seen as a regional digital innovation hub networks. So what you see is that the digital innovation hubs are a little bit less important, and they fall down into 2 elements: the service the regional networks and the digital innovation hubs, which are a little bit more downsized. So the community building activities are organized on a regional level, as well as some of the strategy development, ecosystem learning, and the representation. And also the more business oriented can organize the regional to create that coordinated regional network is about economy of scale. Because if you, for example, would like to work on pan-European level together, to do it for a few projects, that's usually done within a digital innovation hub, that's very costly. If you would organize that on a regional level, you can much quicker organize it for 9 times 4 projects. That's 40, almost 40 projects there in Southern Holland. The economy of scale to enter in that pan-European collaboration is a very important drive to work together. So that's an important issue here. And I'm sure there's going to be some questions about this later on. So please, think of those questions. On the European level, the European innovation actions are also connecting the different digital innovation hubs and competence centers on the left side. So those are the competence centers and the digital innovation hubs. And the European network here is supporting that collaboration between those digital innovation hubs. So what the European networks do, the innovation actions, for example, is support the European collaboration. The regional entities, if they're there, they are connecting the different regions, and they are providing the digitization services to the SMEs. And of course, it's all funded by the European Commission, and some of the funding will be used for the funding of those application experiments that are very often seen in those innovation actions. And here you can see that there's the digitization services, and there's a different set of services to enable the competence centers and the digital innovation hubs to be collaborating together. And here are those services a little bit more a larger font type, so you can read them all. This is very important to say that this is just an idea, and this is just to give you a glimpse of what you can do, because we are further developing those services that are provided by those innovation actions to those digital innovation hubs. And that two-layered approach to services is considered for us very important. We are learning from that from within the Smarties project, but it's just in its early beginnings, the thinking about this. Then the European Digital Innovation Hubs. Well, those are still upcoming. The Digital Europe program is, of course, not in operation still. But this is, you can see already that this is trying to connect the different expertise in the regions and to create a kind of a network of collaborating European innovation hubs so they can work together and to stimulate the interregional or pan-European collaboration. The pillars are there. So the pillar on high performance computing, artificial intelligence, cybersecurity and trust, and you can see here the difference between a little bit more scattered approach that is used in the Horizon 2020 towards a more coordinated approach that is there within the Digital Euro, that will be there in the Digital Euro program. So look again the differences. This is a preliminary thought, but I think it's European Digital Innovation Hub. There is no investment principle there. So it's somebody from the European Commission and other money that comes from the region. It is about exporting, importing the excellence. That's a very crucial element. It connects ecosystem and common investments. But I would like to ask you to read a draft document there of the European Digital the Digital program. Available by the Commission. It states, it describes much more the European Digital Innovation Hub. But what I'm very clear, the linking pin connect the regions together. So the needs, the demands for one side to be shifted to another side that has also its competence centers there, and connection to the industry, and that infrastructure activities can be shifted back to the primary region, and then creating that corridor and creating the adoption. And of course, it can be bidirectional. That is a very important element, to have it as a bidirectional entity. So now I come to the second part of the presentation. I would like to give you the floor now. So hopefully there are some questions that you can bring, and some discussions that can be fed also to give us feedback on this more conceptual view that we offered. So who can I give the floor?
And please do leave your questions in the chat. That way we can, if necessary, combine them all together. So far, I don't see any. You can quickly write them now.
What kind of can ask you between digital innovation hub and the regional innovation networks?
In the meantime, we have a question on how the Digital Innovation Hub regional strategies match the current smart specialization strategies.
Yeah, so that's exactly what we see a lot. That those regional strategies are the regional digital innovation are seen interim instruments to further develop those three strategies and to make it operational. And that's of course because it's a very important question. That you see also in the upcoming ERDF program, that the digital innovation hubs are considered one of the instruments that can be deployed by the ERDF, supported by the ERDF. So those regional entities, those can very be match those S3 strategies and to allow the collaboration between the digital innovation hubs. So it's yeah, this is so. How about the possible role of the EN network? I don't know if there's EM partners involved in this webinar. Are they participating in this webinar? Because I would like to get the feedback from the EM partners about this. So you can unmute yourself and then give some feedback on that. How can those EEM partners be involved in digital innovation hubs? Well, perhaps there are no EEM partners there. What we see is that often in digital innovation hubs, one of the partners can be a partner that is both a service provider for the region as well as an EEM partner. That can be seen. In the Netherlands, the Chamber of Commerce is one of the EEM partners, and they are also directly or indirectly connected to those digital innovation hubs. They act also on the national level to create awareness there, but that's of course the Dutch Chamber of Commerce that takes up that specific role. But I also see within Sweden there are some EEM partners that are just part of the digital innovation hubs. So that's an important element there.
We also have another question, Martin, and it is about, will it be easy to get the regions, countries at European levels all together to support the digital innovation hubs at the different levels and among the different DGs?
I think it's a very important question, but because you can see a bit of a struggle there. And it's clear. The digital innovation concept has been emerging in 2016. So we only are about 4 years in this development of trying to create the pan-European network, how to further support digitization. And what you see is that there are some competences and some competitiveness that are there within, for example, regions. Some digital innovation hubs are just competing on a regional level even. And how to connect them to each other is not an easy game to play. So it is difficult to achieve that, and I think the ERDF and the European Digital Innovation Hub strategy will help to, on one hand, force the different service providers in a region to collaborate together, because there's not going to be 10 European digital innovation hubs in one region. There's going to be one, and that can help also to create that economy of scale that is needed to work together on a European level, the interregional level. So that's an important thing that needs to be come in place in the next few years with the adoption of the Digital Europe program and the Horizon, the ERDF, the new ERDF program.
And related to that, I just saw a question of what are the alternatives on regional level of digital innovation hubs, how to handle the relationships to them.
Yeah, what we see is also, perhaps I should have included also a slide on what different other building blocks, actors, stakeholders are there in this EU Digital Innovation Hub landscape. And one of them is the clusters. And we see very often that in regions, there are clusters active also. And those clusters that are active can be the orchestrators of those digital innovation hubs and can be also a very important actor in the regional digital innovation hub networks. Another thing is that regional development agencies play more and more very important coordinating role in on that regional level and are connected to the Digital Innovation Hub. And that's because they've got money. And the finance that is very much creating a focal point to the activities of Digital Innovation Hub and the regional networks. So those are different entities that are there. I can think of quite a bit more, but for example, the RTOs, I'm working, my employer is TNO. It's a research and technology center. We've got regional departments that are a little bit more focused on the national level, but we have some regional presence, and they can also play a role, as well as universities. The more incubator, accelerator part of a university that's very often there, those can also play an important role in those digital innovation hub and those regions.
I think that connected to that, because you were addressing the different services as well, we have a question of whether digital innovation hubs should provide all the services expected, or should they focus on a couple of services with a greater impact, and how to select these?
Yes, it's a very important question. It is about the black and white, because the black and white, people cannot expect a digital innovation hub going for everything. It is all connected to the regional needs. But what is important there is that you start with, usually you start with some technological infrastructure and the technological expertise. But very quickly, it is important to connect the business-oriented activities there. So just having, because that's done a lot, just having technologies and a technological platform which is state of the art, it's almost if the investors are done in vain, when you cannot support the creation of business with that. So the connection with business services is very much needed. But this is also about how your region, what your region needs. Important is the innovation relay game. So what you need to, what I think you need to very much support is the relay game, when the stick of the relay is handed over to another organization that can help the customer, the SME, or the to take on board the technology and make business out of it. And then the access to finance is, of course, a crucial element. Especially the ecosystem activity are about building a community. If you want to have a sustainable digital innovation hub, you need to have the dynamics, you need to support the dynamics in your ecosystem to get new customers. So that's an important thing to address from the early stage of the digital innovation hub. But then again, it's all an evolution, and some services are not going to be present in the beginning and going to be added later on. I can also see, can you please explain more in detail the differences between a competence center and a regional digital innovation hub? I think the most differentiating characteristic there is that a competence center is about the technology. It's a technological focus. So robotics can be one, artificial intelligence can be one, etc., etc. The regional digital innovation hubs, their mission is to connect the different technologies and to make them available for SMEs. And SMEs are not so much looking for artificial intelligence, they're looking for solutions. And if an SME comes to a regional digital innovation hub network, I've got a problem, then there needs to be a coordinating body to say that, okay, then you need to go to this digital innovation hub because we think that robotics can help you with that, or artificial intelligence, HPC. So you can see differences there. But the connection also with digital innovation is important because that ensures the making business, the assessing markets, trying to translate the technologies into operational business. That's done by a digital innovation hub. So it's an interactive game that must be played by all kinds of actors to ensure that the efficiency is high and especially the impact is high.
We have a couple of questions to that, Maurits. One of them is, in this model, a European Digital Innovation Hub has its own structure, or can be just coordinated network, and what kind of business models can we think about? And I think this relates very much to the organization of the Digital Innovation Hub. And another question that you can address simultaneously with this is, what kind of infrastructures, equipments can we expect from a Digital Innovation Hub?
Yeah, let me go to that last one because that's a very, very interesting one. What is important, what I see in some activities of digital innovation hubs, is that it's a connection between, looking at the technology, is a connection between, on one hand, research, and the other hand, the demonstration. And it is important, I think, I've seen in Ghent some activities on a digital innovation hub and competence sense level, where there's customers that can come to specific technologies to understand how those technologies are can be used in their own business. But on the other hand, it's also about doing research to provide new technologies and to use those more demonstrated technologies from the manufacturing side, to develop new products from the business side, because a manufacturing technology is something to produce the products, and that combination is quite important there. So what I see is that the connection between the research, the actual research, and on the other hand, the demonstrated technologies that need to be organized by a digital innovation hub and a competence center. So that's a crucial element to connect research to business.
So I have a couple of questions here, which is also connected to the customer base, and it is how digital innovation hubs can reach SMEs customers in your vision, and how to make this relationship sustainable.
This is about collaborating together. and it is about creating very hands-on awareness, trainings, etc., etc., but allowing the business creation to be the main entrance point of your communication. So it's not about I've got, it's about we can solve problems. That's crucial, but it is also to connect the research done in universities towards the accelerator incubator kind of business oriented services, and to have it also connected to cluster organizations, because they've got very good access to their to SMEs and mid-caps. It's the connection also there with the EEM partners, because EEM partners also have good connection to SMEs. They know how to translate those technologies into actual business, and that's a crucial element. And therefore, it is the digital innovation hub is about the creation of a dynamic ecosystem, and it's not to look at the added value of one organization. The orchestrator needs to create the connection of the mindsets between all the different service providers in their region and offer them those services in an integrated way to SMEs. That's a very important thing. So create a conference, get the RTOs there, get the SMEs there, talk about the problems of SMEs, but also have bilateral discussions with SMEs together with consultants. I've seen a question also about how the state aid and the consultants are there. The consultants are an important actor or organization there. They also can help to make use of the competences and the capacities and capabilities of the digital innovation hubs and translate that into the SMEs, towards the SMEs.
Thank you, Maurits. Because you were talking about the coordination of different services towards a solution, we also have a question on how to deal with the different services offered by the individual partners, members in the Digital Innovation Hub, and how to articulate these services and to avoid competition.
Yeah, the avoid competition is about aligning. And this is a problem which is still something that there's no one answer there. What you see in a region is that some kind of a level of competitiveness needed, but on the other hand, you also do not want to invest a lot of money to duplicate services in a region. So the regional authorities are important there to make sure that there's no capital destruction of public investments being there. So the services that are there's a limited market, a very limited market. I would suggest to organize through the regional authorities a more focused and a more specialized approach there to the regions. On the other hand, business models for collaboration. What you can do is you can make agreements if you're operating as partners in a digital innovation hubs to be able to use each other's services with a reduced fee and have those reduced fees coming back, so the savings go back to the original contact to an SME. So an SME can come to a partner, and that partner can broker towards another actor in the region, and the other actor can offer the services for a little bit less money, and the savings for that can go to the original contacts. If you do that, then you might be able to collaborate a little bit more. because then it's a win-win situation. The service provider, the actual service provider, will have less money, less time, less costs to get connected to the SME. So those are services that that might be interesting to further explore. We've got some information about that also.
Maybe because we're running a little bit out of time, and we can continue that discussion within the DIHNET community. But I think there is one nice question which can actually round up the discussion a little bit. And what, in your opinion, Maurits, are the critical points to get the European Digital Hub network established?
It is, of course, that's clear. People will organize themselves if there's the funding from the Digital Euro program, and then a coordinated approach to establish a mutual understanding what the European Digital Innovation Hubs can offer to each other. That's an important element. I think that needs to be aligned, because otherwise, if one thinks of their activities in one way and another in another way, then the mutual language, well, just like the internet, the URL is crucial to start a collaboration between the different the different websites, so to say. And that mechanism needs to be in place also for the European Digital Innovation Hub, I think. But it is also about allowing the different regional freedom, because regions are different. So if you have one way fits all, that's not going to help also. But a strong coordinating mechanism, that is very important to allow the European Digital Innovation Hubs to align their thoughts. I would like also to give the floor to Lucy, because this is a first discussion, and I would like to invite you all to the DIHNET. Lucy, you.
Yeah, can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, so every time we do a webinar, we always then post it on the DIHNET community. I'm guessing a lot of you are already members, but I will show you again. You don't know it. So if you go to our main website, DIHNET.eu, then you have a button here that says community, and you can click on it, and it will bring you to the main page where you can set up your profile and then join. And then this is the community. As you see, we have different spaces. For example, this specific webinar, the results, so the recording and the summary of questions, etc., will be posted here in the DIHNET News and Events, and also on the main page you have the latest articles posted, the latest events we are promoting. We also have training materials, so you can see the last ones here. And every month we publish DIH of the month, in which we present what they are working on and who they are. So you can have a look and also contact us if you would be interested to be featured here. And just to show you how we publish webinars, so this is an example of a previous webinar we did last week. So we publish here our presentations and also the recording of the whole webinar. And there is always here a possibility to ask questions and interact with the other members and continue discussion here. And the last thing I wanted to show is that you have the opportunity to click on the yes, here. If you go back to the main page and here, and you can have access to any member that you want. So, for example, I want to contact Maurits. I can look for him here in search member, and then here his profile will appear, and then I can connect with him and communicate. So this is where all the discussion, privately or publicly, can continue after the webinars. And that's all from me for the community.
Okay. I would like to thank you for your and please start the discussion on the web page, on the community, because then we can further develop this thinking. I hope that this presentation was a little bit helpful for you to get a structured view on things and how to further elaborate. And it would be wonderful to get some feedback from you also, how we can improve these discussions, etc., etc. So thank you all.
Bye.
Thank you and bye.
Thank you.